This conference will now be recorded.
एक मिनट. So अभी ठीक है?
अभी ठीक है sir. That's fine.
Okay. So I'll start again. Sorry participants, I apologize for the same. So today there is a bit issue of network on my side also. So today we have Dr. Satish Kumar Katwal with us. So basically Dr. Katwal belongs to district Bilaspur of Himachal Pradesh. He was born in district Bilaspur. So and then he received his bachelor degree in architecture in the year 1998 from Government College of Engineering Trivandrum, that is the state of Kerala. And then he earned his master degree as a gold medalist in the field of construction technology and management in the year 2009 from the Department of Civil Engineering, Gyani Jail Singh College of Engineering and Technology, Bathinda, Punjab. And he was awarded merit certificate by the university for his academic excellence during the master's degree. And he obtained his doctoral degree from National Institute of Technology, Hamirpur, Himachal Pradesh. And his professional career as well as his academic journey started with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Government Polytechnic, Gagret, District Una, Himachal Pradesh. And he joined there as a lecturer in the fraternity of architecture in the year February 2001. He also served Government Polytechnic Sundarnagar, District Mandi, Himachal Pradesh as senior lecturer in the field of architecture. Then he served as head of department architecture at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Government Polytechnic, Gagret, Una. And then he joined Jawaharlal Nehru Government Engineering College, Sundarnagar, with effect from July 2010 to up to July 2014. So during his stay at Jawaharlal Nehru Government Engineering College, he played a key role in implementing the TQIP-2, that is Technical Education Quality Improvement Program 2, a World Bank funded project, as a TQIP coordinator. And after that, he also served Himachal Pradesh Technical University Hamirpur from the year 2010 to 2017 as project officer and was key instrumental in starting the campus building. At present, he is serving as head school of architecture at Rajiv Gandhi Government Engineering College, Kangra. Then his areas of interest as well as his doctoral studies focused on GIS based methodology for safe site selection and construction site layout planning in hilly areas. And today he has opted the topic GIS and its applications in AEC industry, that is architecture, engineering and construction industry. And with these words, I welcome Dr. Satish Katwal to please come up with his lecture and give the lecture to the audience. Thank you, sir, and welcome, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. A very good morning to one and all present here. First of all,
sir, you can switch on your camera. Excuse me, sir, you can switch on your camera if you want to do it so.
Okay.
आपका कैमरा बंद अगर आप चाहें. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now it's fine.
A very good morning to one and all present here. First of all, I extend my sincere thanks to all the organizers, especially Professor Bodh Singh, sir, who has given me this opportunity to deliver a talk in today's FDP program. My topic of today's talk is GIS and its application in AEC industry. Dear participants, I'm very much delighted and happy to be part of this FDP program as one of the speakers. If you look at my topic, you will see that my topic consists of three keywords. One is GIS, another is AEC industry, and then I will talk about GIS, application of GIS. कैसे चलेगा आगे, कैसे चलेगा सर? हेलो,
हाँ जी सर.
ये स्लाइड कैसे मूव करेगी सर आगे? इट्स नॉट मूविंग.
ये आपके एंड से ही होना था. एक मिनट मैं देखता हूँ. पहले पहले हुआ था पहले।
अच्छा ठीक है, हो रहा है।
ठीक है, ठीक है,
ठीक है सर।
ओके।
So the outline of the presentation goes like this. I'll be speaking about the overview. I will give you an overview of GIS, uh, GIS, construction industry, and other areas. The scenario of construction industry will be explained very well in this overview. Then I will speak about AC industry, where I will speak about its meaning, significance, and various key players associated with AC industry and their duty and responsibilities. Then thirdly, I will speak about GIS. Here I will speak about geospatial technology. It will be explained in briefly. I will explain the history of GIS, how GIS came into being, when the first GIS came into existence, who is taking care of GIS, and what is the scenario today in case of GIS. Then at fourth point, I will be speaking about various application of GIS in AC industry, that is architecture, engineering, construction industry. And at the last, towards the end, there will be question answer session where participants will be asked few questions. I have drafted 10 questions. Participants will be asked 10 questions. So anyone whosoever answer the question first by replying in the chat box, he will be given a suitable reward for that. Some prize will be given to that candidate. If somebody answers all the 10 questions at first, so then he'll be given a bumper prize from my side. So this is for regarding outline of the presentation. Regarding overview, successful, as all of you know, as I understand that everybody's most of the participants, they come from architecture and civil engineering background. So we understand that successful completion of a project is possible only when there is a proper planning, when there is a proper scheduling of activities, and the successful completion of the project results in overall optimization of cost and time. In construction industry, all projects consist of huge cost and very large number of tasks. The project managers have to have a hard time monitoring the projects between site and office. So in traditional practice, you see that the project managers, whosoever execute the projects, construction projects, they find it tough. Sometimes they have to be on the site, sometimes they have to be in the office. So they really face a tough time. They have to come to the site to know the progress of the work and decide the consequence of the or sequence of the work. They are generally confused on what to do next or what would be the changes faced by them in future. So the cost involved is large and it varies with respect to completion of project time. Traditional approach of scheduling and progress control techniques such as bar charts and critical path methods are still being used by project managers for planning, which is serious disadvantage because these methods, they don't take care of spatial informations available on the site. So these managers, they feel pressure and they are pressurized by the higher authorities, by the higher managements to shorten the delivery times. And by doing so, they have to compromise on the quality side of the work. Integration of GIS, Geographical Information System, and project management softwares with visualization was recognized as one of the most important tools for achieving this goal. It should be seen as perception of project as well as in the integration of other parties' activities in planning process. Furthermore, in large-scale projects, a visual representation of schedule can be extended to monitoring not only the construction process itself, but also the auxiliary activities such as on-site plant, equipment, etc. In addition to this, GIS has some practical and educational benefits of being able to visualize construction managers. They can visualize the construction sequence at every levels. Even minute details can be noted down. The application of GIS is in project management will be new to the Indian construction industry. GIS will allow construction manager and different people involved in project and different backgrounds to get the information about the progress of the project and support decision making. GIS will provide a common basis of understanding and communication among these people. Many people think of GIS as a presentation tool, whereas GIS does in fact create high quality maps that communicate considerable amount of information in an efficient and attention getting manner. So as we know that like engineers and architects, they always communicate their ideas through graphics. So GIS is becoming a very important tool nowadays. GIS is it has both database system and specific capability for spatially referenced data, which is like geo-referenced, I would say. Visualization of construction progress in 3 dimensions provides construction project manager with a more intuitive views. When he gets an idea of 3D picture of the site, the activities going on, like so many ideas comes to his mind. So that is also one of the advantages of this. 3D visualization allows the construction manager to view the construction activities during any stage of construction process. Then I'll be talking about GIS industry. AEC industry. AEC, as Sir also told you, that it stands for Architecture, Engineering and Construction Industry. By integrating engineering and architecture, engineering and construction into a single industry, architect, engineer and contractors, they work together and try to achieve the common goal. The AIC industry has several practical applications that facilitate technology, outsourcing and exchange of information within the industry. AIC professionals use their expertise in 3 distinct disciplines to work together to bring a project to completion. So basically the AIC industry is like the objective of the industry is common goal to achieve to complete the project within stipulated time and within the quality framework. So now I'll be discussing about the role of architecture. What is the role of architecture in AIC industry? As AIC professional, architects develop the design concept for construction of new buildings or restoration or refurbishment of existing buildings. Though visual aesthetics are an important component of their work, architects must create design that are functional as well as compliant with building bylaws and regulations. Here some people, they have perception that architects only think of aesthetics. They don't have that functional that kind of consideration. But only those architects are considered as successful architects who have this combination of all these things, who consider building bylaws, who design the functional, who takes into consideration the functional aspects of a building, and at the same time creates visual aesthetic buildings. Architects have a complex role in construction process and are involved from beginning to the end. So architects, whenever there is a construction projects coming up, architects are involved from the day one till the commissioning stage, from the site selection to the end of the project. So architects has such a responsibilities includes understanding of client's requirement and translating them into design drawing and models, quantifying and qualifying the projects, that budget, site characteristics and regulations. That is also architect's duty. Developing a sequence of operations and keeping records for daily progress, budget reports. Managing the bidding process where contractor is selected, so he has also to do that job. Clarifying details for engineering and construction teams. making changes to plans as per the recommendation of engineers. So he also have to give us like produce construction details. Then at the last, he has to certify the work completed stage wise and submit to the concerned authorities. Then coming to the role of engineering as AEC professional, mostly civil engineers are included as a part of this. So the basic role of civil engineering is to oversee the construction and maintenance of the projects. Construction of the projects, they have to see whether the things are being done as per the drawings supplied by the architect, as per the specification mentioned on the papers, on the drawings, and further they have to maintain the projects also. Their work include the following responsibilities: conducting feasibility studies and site inspection, developing project budgets, providing resources including employees, equipment and building materials, overseeing progress and safety on recommendation construction sites, ensuring compliance with government regulations, and serving as a liaison between the client and contractors. So they serve as a liaison also. Then coming to the role of construction, the part of the team of AIC professional construction project managers coordinates the work of skilled contractors and subcontractors. So here the role of construction managers comes into being. The professionals who are trained into the construction process, they are designated as project managers. Sometimes civil engineer also perform these duties. So broadly their responsibilities include working with architects and engineers to develop plans, establish timetables and determine cost, hiring and managing subcontractors and employees, ensuring all work is up to the code, distribution of resources also they ensure, managing relationship among AEC industry professionals and with clients, creating checkpoints or benchmarks as a part of overall time management, identifying potential internal risks, etc. Then talking about the coming to the AIC professionals who all include comes under this heading. Architects are AIC professionals. Then civil engineers are also comes under this category. Then construction engineers, who like the persons who have done the engineering, like a degree in construction engineering, building science or construction science, they are designated as construction managers. So to practice as an architect, you need to have a bachelor degree, as all of you must be knowing, and then that you need to be registered with the Council of Architectures to have your own practice or to practice under somebody. You need to have a license for that. Similarly, for civil engineering also, you need to have a bachelor degree in civil engineering. Then you need to have a license from the professional body. And for getting license in case of civil engineers, you need certain experience also. You have to work under some professional engineer. So that is all about this AIC professionals. Now I'll be speaking about geospatial technologies. Geospatial technology, commonly known as geomatics, which refers to technology used for visualization, measurements, and spatial analysis of features or phenomena that occur on Earth. So basically, geospatial is that technology which takes into care all the processes, all the phenomena that are taking place on Earth. So anything happening on Earth is taken care by the geospatial technologies. Geospatial technology is one of the three emerging technologies you must be knowing. That is nanotechnology, biotechnology, and geospatial technology. These are the three emerging technology nowadays, and geotechnology is one of them. Geospatial technology is synonymous with spatial information technology, which includes three different systems. So first is GIS, Geographical Information System, GPS, Global Positioning System, and remote sensing. Then coming to the now GIS, here I'll be speaking about the early GIS when this in 1916s way back in the 1916, the field of geographic information system started as computers and early concepts of quantitative and computational geography emerged. The National Center for Geographical Information and Analysis, led by Michael Goodchild. The National Center for Geographic Information and Analysis, led by Michael Goodchild, formalized research on key geographic information science topics such as spatial analysis and visualization. These efforts further enhance the quantitative revolution in the field of geographic science. The first computerized GIS came into being in 1963 when Roger Tomlinson developed the Canada Geographic Information System. So first geographic first GIS came into being in 1963, and that's National Center for Geographic Information and Analysis was established by Michael Goodchild in the year 1960. So the Canadian government, knowing the potential of Mr. Roger Tomlinson, Canadian government commissioned Tomlinson to create a manageable inventory of its natural resources, and he further created created a national land use management program for Canada later on, Roger Tomlinson, and he was known as father of GIS. So if somebody asks you who is the father of GIS, you must be able to tell that Roger Tomlinson, who invented GIS in 1963, was considered as father of GIS. He is no more. He expired in the year 2014. While working at Northwestern University in 1964, Howard Fisher created one of the first computer mapping software known as SIAM-Map. So after that, GIS, this Roger Tomlinson worked in a Harvard laboratory in the year 1964, 1965, and there he developed first mapping software program. In 1969, Jack Denzelmon, who was also the member of this Harvard lab, which I was talking about in 1960, Roger Tomlinson, who established that laboratory, Harvard laboratory in 1965. So he was the member of that lab, and they later founded that ISRI. Somebody was telling in the morning session also that Saucer, he was telling that environmental ISRI. So ISRI stands for Environmental System Research Institute. This consulting firm applied. This firm was consulted for setting up of this this program, computer-based program. So ISRI further went to develop so many GIS applications, and now it is they started GIS as commercial in 1981. The first product of GIS, commercial product, which came into market, that was known as ArcInfo. ArcInfo was known as first commercial GIS product. And so you can say that in 1981, GIS became commercial. Like now GIS in 2020s, you can think of anything, whatever is happening on the earth, GIS can be used there. It can be applied to any field, any anything happening on the earth. GIS give people the ability to create their own digital maps, layers to help them solve real world problems. GIS has also evolved into a means for data sharing and collaboration, inspiring a vision that is now rapidly becoming a reality. A continuous, overlapping, and interoperable GIS database of the world about the virtually all subjects. Today, hundreds of thousands of organizations are sharing their work and creating millions of maps every day to tell stories and reveal patterns, trends, and relationships about everything. According to the CEO of ISRI, Jack Denzelmoon, he said GIS is about uncovering meaning and insights from within the data. From within the data, you can like uncover so many things depending upon your own capabilities. It is GIS is rapidly evolving and providing a whole new framework and process of understanding to the world community. It is, in brief, if I have to say, it is a frame to organize, communicate, and understand the science of the world, how the science of the world is. So GIS is all about that. Now let us understand GIS in more detail. GIS consists of spatial data and attributed data. I'll be talking about later on. Spatial data, you can understand in the vector model, data model, raster model. Then I'll be speaking about component of GIS, GIS-based functionalities, concept model of GIS, GIS operations, and then lastly, I'll be speaking about benefits of GIS. So now starting with GIS, GIS is nowadays it is a multi-billion dollar industry. It employs hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. GIS is taught nowadays in schools, colleges, and universities throughout the world. Professionals in many fields are increasingly aware of advantages of thinking and working geographically. GIS is a computer-based tool for mapping, analyzing things and events that happen on the Earth. This already I've told. Whatever is happening on Earth, GIS can map that. It can measure that thing. So an event can be measured and event can be mapped by using GIS. GIS activity can be grouped into spatial and attribute data management. I've already told. Data display, data exploration, data analysis, and GIS modeling. So this is the activity. GIS activities can be grouped all these into these parts. Spatial data relates to geometry of features, while attribute data describes the characteristics of space features. So spatial data relates the geometry. Supposingly, you have a road, so there the shape of the road will be described in the spatial data, and attribute its length, width, all those features, they'll be taken care by the attribute data. It'll be in the form of tables. And spatial data describe location of spatial features, as I already told. It can be discrete, like bells, roads, lands, use something that can be spatial data. And continuous feature also, like elevations, like forest cover or something like that, some covers. So it takes spatial data takes care of that. So it can be a point you can be a pole, a building, a road, so like that, or otherwise a spread thing, elevation kind of thing. Then location of spatial feature on Earth's surface are based on geographic coordinates system with longitude and latitude values, and are defined by data models. Attribute data describe the characteristics of spatial features. I have already told. Attribute data is stored as tables which are organized by rows and columns. This also I told that attribute data, the properties are stored. Each row represents a spatial feature and each column describes its characteristics. Vector data model. Vector data model uses point and their XY coordinates to construct spatial features of points lying and areas, and are ideal for representing discrete features in space. Vector data model may be georelational or object based, may or may not involve typology. Raster data model uses a grid and grid cells to represent the spatial variation of feature and are best suited for representing continuous features. Raster data model uses a simple data structure with rows and columns and fixed cell locations. Spatial and attribute data files are synchronized. When spatial and data they are represented separately, but later on when analysis has to be carried out, some query has to be performed, they are to be synchronized. Files, both the files need to be synchronized to get the results. GIS provides capabilities that involve integration and analysis of large volume of spatial and repeat data from variety of sources. Then now coming to the components of GIS. GIS consists of basically 4 components. First component will be hardware. You require a hardware, a computer is required. Secondly, you require software, GIS software is required. Thirdly, you require some expert who can perform the operation on GIS operations. So some human expert is required. And thirdly, the data, geo-based data, which is very much required for carrying out analysis. So these are the basic 4 components of. So now speaking about hardware, hardware is the computer on which GIS operates. It includes sources like plotters, digitizers, scanners, monitors, etc. So along with the computer, you need to have plotters, digitizers, where the things, where the maps, 2D maps need to be digitized. Then you need to be need scanner, monitors. So that they all include the part of hardware. GIS software run on wide range of hardware types that use Windows. You need Windows operating systems such as Windows 2000, Windows XP, or more than that, hard version of that. Then coming speaking of software, GIS software provides functions and tools needed to store. There are so many tools to store the data. There are tools to query, perform query on the database basis. Display, you can like have a 3D view of the data. Analyze, you can analyze the data, create and modify data as per your need. You can customize also data as per your need. Various GIS software available are Autodesk Map, GRASS, Transcad, Multicube, ArcView, and now Arc 10.3 is also there, which is like educational version of it. Then coming to human expert, GIS technology is of limited value without the people. Supposing you don't have an expert, then computers and the hardware and the software are of no use. So you need to have people who can manage the system, who can develop plans, and who can apply these the tools to the real world problems. So by applying, so you need to have experts, you need to have professionals. GIS is a general purpose tool and requires GIS is general purpose tool and requires designers and operators who have knowledge to actually apply this tool. Then data, geographic data and related tabular data can be collected in-house. It can found on the internet for free or can be purchased from a commercial data provider. So depending upon the accuracy of the project, you need to have, you can procure the data from these sources. GIS will integrate spatial data with other data resources and can use as a DBMS, database management system. So GIS can be used as a database management system also. This is very big advantage of GIS. New data can be entered into GIS by ways of digitizing. Maps can be digitized, new data can be formed, data can be like procured through GPS, or various images of data can be scanned, maps can be scanned, they can be digitized, they can be converted into geographic data. Then comes GIS-based functionalities, like GIS can be used for mapping, it can be used for storage, retrieval, conversion, and database management. It can be used as data management system also. Then you can carry out statistical analysis. It can be used for visualization purposes, and furthermore, it can be used for geographic analysis. So these are the function of GIS. Then now like how GIS works. A GIS stores information about the world as a collection of thematic layers. As we architects and engineers, we understand that in AutoCAD also the things are like produced as layers. Like for example, if I take an example of a building, building consists of so many components. There are windows, there are doors, there are walls, there are slabs, there are so many things. So like there we work in layers. So one thing can be a window layer, one can be wall layers, likewise. So similarly, on similar principle, GIS also works. So it also works on thematic layers. So for every like function, you need to have a layer, and these layers are further like superimposed on one another by use of GIS and operations are. So this is one of the picture. You can understand that this is a parcel of land where there are so many activities. There are districts, there are buildings, there are streets. So likewise, layers have been created, and these layers have further they are superimposed by these tools, GIS, and analysis is carried out. GIS operations, how GIS works. You need to have these 5 things. You need to have input data you have to create. Then you have to manipulate that data. You have to customize that data as per your need. That data is to be managed, and then what queries and analysis you want to carry. Accordingly, there are tools you can carry out queries and analysis, and finally you can visualize the things, how the operations, what are the consequences. Uh, before like input data, before geographic data can be used in GIS, data must be converted to stable digital format. So if you have a 2D map, so those 2D map need to be digitized. They are need to be converted to digital format. Then only that will be called as a that can be used as the input data. Then data types required for particular GIS projects will need to be transformed, manipulated in some way to make them compatible with the system. So there are tools to make certain operations on the data, and you can manipulate the data as per your need. Then data can be managed, it can be stored. I already told that GIS can be used as a database management system. So it can be used to store, organize, and manage data. So this is a big advantage of this GIS. Then query and analysis, I've already told that as per your project need, you can perform queries. Then visualization is the key feature of this GIS. Data visualization is the process of using a variety of exploratory techniques and graphics to understand and gain insight into the data. Data visualization activities are divided into 2 areas, rendering and manipulation. Rendering basically deals with the decision about what to show in a graphic plot and what types of plot to make. Manipulation refers to how to operate on individual plot and how to organize that multiple plots. So then coming to the benefits of GIS, the modern GIS provides both simple point and click query. So on when you have like data, you can manage that data, you can manipulate that data. On single click, you can get so many informations as per the projects. GIS technology is used to analyze geographic data to look for the patterns and trends and to undertake what if scenario. Modern GIS has many powerful analytical tools like analysis of proximity, adjacency, containment, and overlay analysis. There are so many tools in GIS if you see. So now I'll be coming to the third part of this application of GIS in each industry. First of all, applications in architecture. the designing of physical structures, as you all know that designing of physical structures, including building, is important. This is because all infrastructure facilities like school, colleges, and hospitals, they are all planned by architects. Architecture does not only consist of planning and designing of the building, but also involved in micro level of construction details. Geographic and infrastructure system has various uses, especially in research and practice of architecture. The uses vary from urban and community planning to selection of site. GIS adds more value to architecture fields in so many ways. Some of the areas include, like GIS can be used for development planning. It can be used for like identifying available parking space in the city. It can be used for site selection of a building. It can be used for carrying out analysis of a given site so that you can locate locate a particular infrastructure facility at a most appropriate site. Spatial planning can also be carried out. Then you can locate temporary facilities, TFs, on the construction site when some building is coming up. So by use of GIS, you can locate various TFs. Then topographical visualization, which is the biggest advantage of GIS. Then talking about engineering, application of engineering, particularly in civil engineering, GIS has been extensively used in civil engineering due to its ability to merge database technology and perform statistical analysis. In addition to that, the GIS technology in civil engineering has offered new ways of resolving difficulties in the environment, which has in turn reduced cost and improved the quality of intricate projects. Some of the areas where GIS civil engineers they use GIS is they can use for structural engineering where bridges are coming up on lands, transportation, for transportation planning also GIS can be used, terrain mapping, watershed analysis, environmental engineering and impact studies, wastewater and stormwater. So anything you think of as civil engineer, it can be used. Anything happening on the ground, there you can use GIS. And topography again, this is the biggest advantage. So visualization is the best aspects, I would say. Then talking about GIS in construction. GIS in construction can be used. It can be as already told. It can be used as data management for data management. It can be used to for subsurface profile. You can use it for quantity takeoff, construction cost estimation, material layout at construction sites. Then you can like use it for construction site layout planning, real-time schedule monitoring. For that also you can use GIS. For e-commerce applications, route planning, and topographic visualization. So these were some of the applications in AC industry. So you can you can think of anything happening on the ground and you can use this. So you should start thinking of in your areas, whichever area you work, how GIS, what are things are happening on the ground, where this GIS you can use this GIS and how it can be used. Now I'll be talking about some of the applications of GIS which I used it as a tool during my studies. So first tool I used it as a location-based evaluation. So I was having a site. I was as sir told once in the year 2010. I was posted as a training placement officer at one of the engineering college, where I was entrusted with looking after the civil works, the construction works of the campus. So there are so many ideas. Sometimes I used to find that so many difficulties to deciding where that building should be. So so there I use this location evaluation. So I developed a framework. So let us start like this. I'll be in location-based evaluation involves assessment of a piece of land by considering topography and existing fielding facilities. So whatever is existing there and whatever the topography of that parcel of land is, you have to consider that, and accordingly you have to decide the location of proposed facilities. So what was there? It was like partially constructed, partially unconstructed. So when I started using GIS, I started to analyze. First, I digitized that map, converted into that input data set, then started analyzing. So that way I evaluated the site, what are the facilities are proposed at the right place, what are the facilities are not proposed at the right place or proposed at the adverse locations. So likewise I used. So to develop this framework to evaluate that site, that campus, I use 5 steps approach. First step was I used collected all the maps, the master plan of basically the master plan of that campus. That master plan I digitized the contours to develop TIN, because it was located in the hill town. So I digitized the contours to develop a TIN, and then the Google image of that area was draped over the TIN. So that give me the actual feel of that campus. When a TIN is produced and then Google image of that campus is draped over that, so that gives me the real feel of that campus. Then secondly, then I developed input data sets. I will come to that, how I developed that and what are the input data sets. And then corresponding to those data sets, I identified codal provisions by exploring the various codes, especially National Building Code and IBC codes. Then these models, the codes, these provisions, the codal provisions which I got from from the NBC, National Building Code, corresponding to my input data sets, I model them using GIS. Then these data sets they were reclassified and they were placed at the same platform to compare them. And finally I identified the buildings, the facilities which were located at adverse location. So this was a schematic diagram, the stepwise approach, how I form my framework for that evaluation of the campus. So anybody can use such type of framework. So these are the critical aspects I identified for evaluation of the campus. So the topography was one of the criteria, one aspect. Existing building there, as I already explained, there are some of the buildings were already existing there. So those were also considered. Then there was a septic tank near in the campus, that was also taken care of. Then roads, paths which were existing there, they were also taken care of. Then overhead power supply lines, the campus, the electricity power supply lines was running in the campus, they were taken. Then the various land use were proposed they were also taken care of, and the corresponding to them the codal provisions were identified. So this is the case study of that. This is the location of the site. If you anybody of you have visited Himachal Pradesh, it is one of the district of Himachal Pradesh, Mandi district. And in Mandi district there is a Sundarnagar place where this college is located on that hilltop. So there, that site I analyzed, I evaluated that site. This is the spatial plan of that campus. These are the steps, topography modeling, that I told how I digitized the contour, then I converted those contours into TIN, then I draped that image of the Google image of that campus over that TIN to get the real picture of the real feel of the campus. Then I developed input data sets and modeled codal provision, and finally the outcome came out. That outcome I analyzed. So this is the topography modeling, the TIN I was talking of. So when you produce the TIN out of your contours, you get elevation levels also. So this campus elevation ranges between 800 to 920 meter. So you can see that different colors indicate different ranges. So by first glance you can like identify which site which place you need to build your buildings. These are the like input, development of input. See the drawing image was taken, step-wise approaches were like shown here. This is modeling codal provisions. So here influences, like I've taken 4 type of data sets. So weightage I've given, slope I've given 30% weightage. I've given elevation, I've given 20% weightage, runoff pattern given 20% weightage, and likewise. So the data which the values in the derived data set were floating points. They were continuous and different ranges. So if you see that when you perform those operations, you get the data in different ranges. So that those data sets you need to be like placed on a common scale. So I placed these data sets into 1 to 10 scale. Higher value was given to the attributes within each data set that were more suitable, and lower value to the least suitable attributes for locating block. For example, a slope dataset was reclassified by slicing. So every dataset was classified into 10 equal intervals. Then only you can compare the datasets. Unless until they are on common scale, you cannot compare them. So these are the outcomes. You can see that drawing image, and then from drawing image you can see that contours and various outputs out of that framework. This is existing and proposed location. It shows elevation ranges. This is it shows runoff patterns. You can see that how that existing buildings were planned initially before using GIS. Runoff patterns, they were going through the buildings. Buildings were placed like across the runoff patterns. So all these things you get a clear idea of that. So after doing that, we have like changed even the plans of some of the buildings. You can see that hostel buildings, we changed its shape because it was like overlapping. It was like creating some kind of congestion between the other blocks. It was violating building bylaws. So then safe site selection. Similarly, I developed one methodology for safe site selection. This also goes like that. Same campus. These are the data sets, and this is the like various aspects. There I use only 4 aspects. Here I use a little bit more aspects. Then here I like identified codal provision from using NBC and codal provision from IBC. So those codal provisions, they were modeled using GIS. Here that tin was again used. That tin and that those things were used here. So this is how that surface model of the JNC campus was. 3D modeling, it was done in Google SketchUp. Is later on. This is the 3D view of infrastructure facilities at that time. Input data sets and the analysis. These are the outputs obtained through GIS operations. So this is like analysis on the data. These are site selections. So here I identified 2 sites with the same values. You can see that like I have assigned values from 1 to 10. So 10 was assigned to the extremely safe site, 9 was highly safe, and 8 was moderately safe. You can see that 10 is not visible there. So there was no site on the hilltop which was extremely safe. Only I was able to find out the site with the scale value as 9. So and 9 and 8, but 8 values were designated as extremely safe. These were small chunks with 8 value. So ultimately identified 2 patches with 9 values, which were considered as highly safe. They were also further analyzed that one of the runoff pattern that is uh, one of the runoff stormwater drain is passing through one of the patch, so that patch was neglected, and the other patch on the right side that was selected for one of the buildings. Then similarly for construction layout, I used it for identifying the locations of TFs, temporary facilities. Safe layout planning is the best way of construction professionals. Should I go back? Professional to address several health and safety related issues. Safety aspects considered in the present study to locating TFs free from hazards. So here TFs, this GIS was used to identify the locations for TFs. So how this is the site. You can see that this is one of the building was under construction. You can see that how the buildings material is placed, how the things are lying. They were seen in most disorganized way. So to place them in organized way and to I use GIS. So first of all, for doing that, I identified site layout elements. Then I identified their requirements. So site elements, construction sites are demonstrated a set of 3 interrelated activities. If I talk of site layout elements, they consist of 3 interrelated activities. These activities will be site entities. Site entity means something existing there, something permanent. Likewise, then TFs, the temporary facilities which need to support that construction of buildings, and site constraints. So here site identity was identified as land use, E-block, overhead water storage tank, electrical transformer, existing buildings. These are this campus specific. In different cases, it will be different. Different number of identities will be different. So TFs here, TFs identified. These were the TFs identified for this project. Then site constraints. Then their area requirements were identified. Then this is the framework I developed for locating TFs. Here inputs were developed. Then their codal provisions were identified, and then by using GIS, one by one TF location for one by one TF was identified. When first TF was identified, that TF becomes the input data set for identifying that TF2. So likewise, 5-6 TFs were identified, their locations. So this is same as I discussed earlier. This is the GIS model for that implementing that framework. So this is analysis. So here you can see that the first TF was located here. So when this is located, this also becomes a part of entities, existing entities, for locating second TFs. So by performing this operation time and again, we identified so many 7 TFs and their locations. So this is all about my presentation. Now coming to the question and answer session. I think
हेलो सर,
सुनाई दे रहा सर?
हाँ जी बिल्कुल सही है जी.
So there are 10 questions. I will read one by one, and I request all the participants to respond, try to answer these questions. Conditions I have already explained. Whosoever explains, whosoever answers the questions at first shall be given appropriate reward for that. Okay? That prize it can be collected from Singh sir or from myself. by like sending your address to me. First question goes like this: who was Michael Goodchild?
Participants,
Participant can reply.
sir, they are
Hello.
replying in. Yes, yes.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, sir. I am Subhajit.
You have to like write
Good
in the chat
child.
box only.
Yes, sir. I have
No,
written.
no reply. Whosoever writes first, he'll get the prize.
So write in chat box only.
Yeah.
Participants, please write it in chat box only.
So that it remains in the record.
Yeah, that record will be maintained with us. So
Yeah.
please reply in chat box. The you want to answer to the specified question, mention that question number and then the answer. So whosoever you want to.
I'll read. No, your time starts when I read the question. Then question start. Don't go like that. You start answering the questions. First question is over. Second question: when did the first GIS came into existence? That year you have to tell. First, participants. Third, who is known as father of GIS? Fourth, who established National Center for Information and Analysis? सर कोई रिप्लाई कर रहा है क्या?
हाँ जी बहुत आ रहे हैं उत्तर.
हेलो.
हाँ जी आ रहे हैं आंसर.
अच्छा. Fifth, who is CEO of ISRI? What is the full form of ISRI and GIS? Don't use Google, please. I can see some of the participants, they are using their phones. What is the full form of ISRI and GIS?
ठीक है जी.
Geographical Information System (GIS).
अरे बोलना नहीं है पार्टिसिपेंट्स, प्लीज बोलना नहीं है आपने.
No need to speak. That's right.
Just pen down it in your chat box.
Full form of AEC. GIS has how many components?
AEC architecture engineering.
Participants, you have not to give oral answer, you have to give written answer only in chat box. That record will be with us. We will evaluate as per time.
Full form of SB. Full form of TF. Everybody is done?
Yeah, I think.
So now I'll move to the answers. I'll disclose the answers also. Should I?
Yes, sir.
Should I move further?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Oh, here are the answers. You can check your answers now. First question's answer lies in fourth question. Answer of first question lies in question 4.
यार ਇਹਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਫੀਵਰ ਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਪਰ ਸੀਟਾਂ ਹੀ ਭਰ ਗਈਆਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਵਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ.
Anybody who replied 10 out of 10 questions? I just want to speak to that guy or girl. Sir or ma'am? Anybody?
So any participant whosoever thinks that
whosoever has replied 10 out of 10.
So I think, sir, there is no such candidate who could have attempted all the 10 questions.
Anybody who replied 9 correct answers? Let us go reverse order.
Okay, fine.
10 or no, nobody is 10. Nine. Anybody who replied 9 questions? I want to speak.
Yes, sir. I think I replied
8.
9 questions.
Mr.
Hello,
Mukherjee.
sir. Yes, sir. I
Sir,
think I replied 9
Yes.
questions.
Sir, Mr. Mukherjee has replied 9.
8 question you replied.
He has replied 9.
Sir,
9
kindly
answers.
note his name.
Yes, sir. Mr.
Very good. All correct. All correct. All correct.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
There is some spelling mistakes because of
that's
the.
I'm really
No, that
Okay,
is not
sir.
an issue. Spelling is not an issue.
Okay, okay,
no,
sir.
no issue.
Thank you.
Mr. Sabyashi Mukherjee.
8 question. सर इनको इसको स्पेशल अवार्ड देना स्पेशल सर्टिफिकेट.
Okay, no, don't worry, sir. Your promise will be fulfilled.
8 question. Anybody replied? 8 question correct. 8 number of questions. Seven.
उन्होंने पूछे यार
That
12 question.
That means participants are not attending it properly.
7. Sir, Akansha Latwal is saying that the candidate has attempted 7 correct answers.
Good.
Akansha Latwal.
Very good. 8 for 8. Nobody is there, no sir.
No, sir. Sangeeta Biswas
7,
8.5.
6. Anybody? Six.
Something Sangeeta Biswas, what do you want to say that 8.5 were there? You can unmute your mic and speak
There
to
are 5 components. Number 8. The answer of 8 is 5, sir. GIS has how many components?
How 5? I told 4 only, na. Computer system, software, human expert, and data. I told only 4. How 5? Please tell me.
Four.
What is 5th?
Sangeeta Biswas, what is the 5th component?
Let me add on that component in my list for next presentation. What is that? Please come back.
No, sir, no answer. Please move on.
6 के नीचे नहीं जाएंगे sir. We will not move
बिल्कुल
beyond
sir, हाँ,
6. That
six
means
is the deadline.
that means
And-
participants are they are not attending programs sincerely. This is my survey. Don't mind.
This is your
These are
geospatial
very basic
technology.
questions. I like plant and my special technology.
Yeah.
My assessment of program. So thank you all. Thank you very much for your
So-
patient hearing.
So
Now anybody can if anybody wants to speak, he can speak. Anybody has any query,
Sure.
he can come to my. He can contact me. This is my address.
so
And
participants,
anybody wants to works in GIS, needs my help, I'll be most happy. You can reach out me.
so participants, you can
Anything.
note down. You can note down address of sir. So in future, if you want to work on this GIS or geospatial technology, so you can have any type of guidance from sir. So if there are any queries with the participants, you can please put on your queries. You can unmute your mic and ask Dr. Satish Katwal.
Yeah. Sir, can you please tell me the names who answered 9 question, 10
Yes,
question?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Sabyashi Mukherjee has answered 9. correct answer.
Okay. May I note?
Yeah. And Akansha Lathwal has answered 7
Sabya.
correct answers. Sir,
Sabyachi Mukherjee.
Akansha Lathwal wants your help on this topic. So Akansha, you can speak to sir. What kind of assistance you want to require? You want from sir? Akansha Lathwal.
Sabyasachi, where he comes from? West Bengal.
I think he is from Tamil Nadu. Mr. Mukherjee, you are from Tamil
No, sir,
Nadu,
I'm
na?
from West Bengal. Yes, sir.
West Bengal. West Bengal.
Mukherjee are not available in Tamil Nadu, sir.
Okay, fine.
If he is
I
there,
got
that means his father is in Navy.
it. Okay.
Akansha answered 8 questions,
Yes,
right,
sir.
sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Akansha, you can speak to
Sir,
sir.
good
What kind of?
afternoon.
Akansha, where are you from?
Sir, I'm from Haryana,
Good
Rohtak.
afternoon. Where are
I'm
you
from
from?
Rohtak, Haryana. Haryana, sir.
Rohtak.
Haryana.
She
Yeah.
is from.
Good.
Yes, sir. Sir,
So you
actually,
are a teaching faculty somewhere or like
I'm a
researcher?
PhD scholar. Sir, I'm a
You
PhD
are teaching,
scholar.
right?
No, sir. She is a
PhD
PhD
scholar,
scholar.
sir.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir.
Where?
Sir, Maharshi
Okay.
Markandeshwar
Okay.
University,
Okay.
Mulana.
That's good. So you
Ambala.
are working in the area of GIS? Okay,
Sir,
Balana.
I'm doing my PhD work
So that is
in
Bala.
groundwater and what, sir? Sorry, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Groundwater.
sir.
That's the nice area.
Yes, sir. Sir,
GIS, I
I
tell
need
you,
help.
all GIS can be used anywhere. Anything happening on the ground, there you can apply GIS.
Yes, sir.
And this
For
is
my Sir, for my research work, I have used GIS in one of my objectives. So I'll be needing your help regarding this.
sure, most welcome. That's why I'm putting my address there. You can reach me out
So,
through mail, email, WhatsApp,
Okay, sir.
anything, any
Akansha,
Can I
media.
reach it through me? Yes, sir.
so you can note
Sure.
down this address.
Noted it, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so you can contact anytime, sir. So he will be.
GIS is going in a big way, and for the researcher, I must tell you that this is in initial stage now. You can use it
Yes,
in
sir.
your research. Your publication will be like fast. If you
Yes, sir.
use
Yes.
other technologies, your publication, there are so many. It takes years and years to get things published.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
With the use of GIS, you can publish fast. I mean to say.
Okay, sir. So I'll
Yeah.
talk to you regarding this, sir. I'll share you my project, like what I have done till now and what I'll be doing.
Yeah.
So I'll share everything with you.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So,
Welcome.
Anybody else?
so participants, anyone else? Any query regarding this GIS or this geospatial technology? So, sir, I think we can conclude now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you from my side, all participants.
So, thanks a lot, sir, for joining us in this session. So, you have beautifully explained from the very beginning of GIS that how it was developed, when it was developed. So, what are the data related to this GIS technology? What are the various spatial data models required to be developed for this GIS technology? Different components of GIS, models of GIS, how it operates, how it works, then its applications in engineering. So starting from very basic to your that project of Jawaharlal Nehru Engineering College. So I think and I hope participants must have gained a lot. And also the participants who are not familiar with this technology, that what is GIS, their working area may be somewhat different. So I think as the sir has started from very basic, so now onwards, I think they all must be familiar with this technology of GIS or remote sensing. So it was really a nice time to have with you, that you shared your knowledge as well as your work with the participants. So I am really thankful as well as grateful to you for sparing your valuable time to accompany us at this FDP. So thanks a lot once again. So hope to see you in your future also. in such events. So thanks a lot, sir,
Thank you,
and
sir.
thank you all the participants. Thank
Once
you.
again, I tell you all the participants that GIS can be used in a big way in any projects, because all the projects, all the happenings are taking place on the earth. So it is the only technology that can be used for. So my sincere advice, my sincere request will be there, like whatever way you can use it, you try to use it. Your publication, your work will be recognized overnight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. So,
Thank you,
Yes, sir.
so thank you, participants. So we will again reassemble at 2:30. So at 2:30 we will also having a special class on yoga. So
Oh.
then we will be, yes, sir. So kindly, sir, if you have some not prior engagement, you can also join this class.
Sure. I'll join 2:30 now.
At 2:30, yes, sir. So as per AICTE
Sure.
curriculum, one such class is mandatory for these courses. So we have to opt for one class like on yoga or something, stress management or some other human
Yes, sir.
values or something.
I have a question.
Yes, sir, please.
I have a question like the time for yoga class is not the right time. It should have been
Sir.
in the morning hour.
Sir, as per the availability of experts, I have to manage it. So some
For experts,
things
it
are,
should have come from the expert. I'm not expert, but it should have come from that side.
maybe she might be busy somewhere else in that session. So as
No,
per the
I'm just joking. Lighter mode.
so
Thank you
then
so much, sir.
you
Thank you.
so thank you,
I'm
sir,
really
once
blessed
again.
today. Okay,
So
really blessed
thank
today to have with you. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot once again. So thank you, my dear participants. Please reassemble at 2:30. So thanks once again, all of you.
Yes, sir.